Welcome to the Bridal Blueprint. We are super excited to get this going.
Yeah, I'm John, and this is Alyssa. So we're the Biddles. We're the owners of Biddle Photography, and this is the first episode of the Bridal Blueprint. And we just kind of wanted to come on here, talk about a little bit about us, our history, how Biddle Photography got started, and then why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
So, Alyssa, I guess we'll start off with you because you were into weddings way before I got into it. So how did you first start getting into photography, and what did that look like?
So I got into photography in high school. I originally, I took every photography class that I possibly could. I originally went into it thinking I was going to be a National Geographic photographer, but then we watched a documentary on how much National Geographic photographers go through, whether it's like sickness that they get from the tropical locations they go to, or being like robbed at gunpoint, held for hostage. And I was like, you know what? I'm a little bit too pampered for that. I like my life comfy, cozy. So I don't want to do that. And then I started taking portraits of my friends and family. I think I was like 16 when the first time I did a portrait session, and I was hooked. But I did not want to do any weddings. That was not something I was interested in. I thought it was going to be too much pressure. I was super scared. But after when I was 19, after my first year of college, one of my friends was getting married, and she asked me to shoot her wedding. And guess how much I charged? Do you remember?
Wasn't it like $200?
Yes, it was $200, and I was terrified to ask for that because it was something so new, and I drank so much caffeine beforehand to hype myself up that I was like, and I was shaking so bad, and it was super hard and awkward, and but yeah, and that was when I was 19. I shot my first wedding, so I've been doing this for about 10 years now.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
So even though that was like super awkward, and
I loved it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what did you love about it?
I loved how beautiful everything was. I loved seeing the love that people, like the couple, had for each other. They're still, like, I still know them and love them, and I loved seeing that in the moment, how the connection they had. And I really love the part of weddings that it has everyone you love in the same place, and that's so powerful. And I also love that it's a time to stop and totally focus on that love that the couple has and start out on making that commitment and celebrating that commitment.
Yeah, well, we were talking with a planner, like, even after you get married, there's no other time in your life really where like all your friends, all your family is going to be there to support you. Like, there's not really...
Yeah, that it's there just for you.
Yeah, that they're just for you. I mean, you have family forever, but I mean, some friends you have forever, some you don't, but there's not another time where all of those people are all going to be there,
right,
just like supporting and loving you. So it's
something really powerful. And I think I fell in love with all of that. The beauty of weddings. I love a good wedding dress. And that feeling of just total love encompassing the couples. And that's how a wedding should be. I know that not all of them are like that. We've shot ones that don't necessarily feel that way, but I would say most of ours feel that way.
Yeah.
Most of the time when we pause and reflect, we think about how much love there is in every single wedding.
Yeah, for sure. The vast majority of our weddings have just been, in terms of like the love for the couple, the support, they've been awesome. Like, most of our couples have amazing family and friends, and that's what's cool about it too. And that's part of what I like about weddings. But I mean, I'm like a normal dude. I don't grow up thinking about weddings and stuff like most women do. So maybe you can talk about like what you were doing after we got married in terms of shooting weddings and how you kind of roped me into it, I guess.
So we got married super young. I was 19, so it was only not quite a year after I shot my first wedding that John and I got married. We were babies. I was one, John was I was 19 and John was 21.
Still technically a teenager.
I was a teenager.
That was 22.
Oh, you were 22.
22.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Still super young.
Super young. We were babies, and then we also had a honeymoon baby. So from right out of the gate, after I started shooting weddings, I got married, got pregnant, and had a baby all within a year. And but I was still taking a lot of weddings with friends and family, and like little referrals, but it was not anything on the scale. It was mostly for like really small weddings where I go shoot just like some family portraits, some bridals, maybe a reception here and there, but nothing.
Not a full scale event like we're doing now. Yeah.
And I shot my full scale wedding. Actually, I just shot their newborn pictures today too, which is really exciting. I love doing that with my couples. But when I was first pregnant with our daughter, so when I was 20, so it was like my first big wedding. It had like 200 guests, super scary. And I had no idea what to do with the timeline. I just thought kind of like they would decide that. And that I charged $750 for that. And that was my first, like I was there when she started getting ready all the way until like the reception was almost over. And it was a huge learning experience for me. I was very new. Again, terrified to ask for $750 to do that. But I gave that my whole heart. And then after that, it was just like slow trickles. I maybe shot like between 5 and 15 weddings until we were trying for our third baby. And I was in a spot where I was just feeling, I wasn't shooting a ton. I wasn't necessarily taking it seriously as a career. It was something that I was kind of doing on the side.
Right.
And I was feeling really aimless. Although motherhood is wonderful, I needed something that was for me and something that was outside of my day-to-day of wiping noses and changing diapers. And I found a course that changed my life and made me realize I could do this. Like, this could be my career.
Yeah.
And shortly after I started doing that and I renamed, it went from Lulu Photography. That was the original name of my photography business, was Lulu Photography. We changed it to Biddle Photography. And shortly after that, we found out I was pregnant. And I had already booked my summer up. I think that year I had
a lot of weddings that summer.
I think I had like 15, maybe 17, somewhere in there. And I should go back and check. But
yeah, it was a lot of weddings for being pregnant all through the summer.
Yes. Yes. Well, and like my first pregnancy, so the very first wedding actually that I shot, and I think so it was January of 2018.
Yes, that was right after Ember was born. Our oldest.
No, 2018?
Or, excuse me, right after, not long after Elowen was born.
No.
January 2018?
So then it must have been 2017. She was born October 2018.
Oh, yeah.
So it was January.
I'm getting mixed up on dates. Yeah, so it would have been like 10 months before our youngest was born.
Yeah, well, I had just found out that I was pregnant and I was starting to have morning sickness. And I had this wedding booked and it was in Miles City, Montana. And I was like, John, I don't think I can do this by myself. If I'm sick, I need you to come and take some pictures because I don't know how I'm going to do this by myself.
Yeah.
Like if I start puking with morning sickness. And so John had to do a crash course on how to use a camera.
Yeah, which it was like, I didn't think I'd really like photography until I started doing it and like learning about kind of some of the technical aspects, just shutter speed, aperture, ISO, all those different things. But once I started learning it, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And you could get pretty nerdy with gear and stuff and different things like that. And then I started getting really interested in that.
Yeah. And a lot of people assume that I taught him. I taught him very minimal things because I'm not a good teacher. So we found this course that was like $5 crash course on just like the basics of the camera, and he came and shot that wedding with me. And then for the rest of the summer, I think there was only maybe 2 weddings you didn't shoot with me out of all the ones we had, and then I shot 6 weddings back to back.
Yeah.
And then from there we've just kind of taken off running. We have shot now over 100 weddings. Which is super awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you didn't like teach me explicitly, I guess, but like I learned so much just from being around you and being around other photographers as well. But the photographer I spent the most time with is you. And so just learning and kind of seeing how you do things and trying to pick up and learn as quickly as I could. And yeah, and so I started getting really interested in that. I was still working other jobs during all this time, other full-time jobs while we were shooting weddings. And then I started getting a lot more interested in doing videography as well, and we started offering that to our couples. And eventually that morphed into us both doing this full-time and supporting our family, our 3 kids on this photography business. Yeah. Which
we're super grateful for our couples who've hired us to allow us to do that. We do feel like we give them all of us when we're there on their wedding day, but we're just, we could not be living this wonderful life that we get to spend. We both get to be work-at-home parents that can have flexible schedules to be home with our kids, and I feel like that's such a unique experience that we're both really grateful for.
Yeah, we work really hard at it. We put a lot of hours in, but we're able to dictate where we put that time in so we can, maximize quality time with our kids and stuff. So it's been awesome, honestly. And I love weddings too, although I'm not as into Alyssa, like the different trends and like dress styles and stuff.
Yeah, my socials, the algorithm on my socials, all of them think that I'm planning a wedding. Like if any vendor puts out like a sponsored post, I am going to get it. If my whole algorithm is farm animals, gardening, houseplants, and then 90% weddings.
Yeah. But like my full-time job that I was doing before doing this full-time was I was working in insurance mostly, and there were lots of great things about that. I don't have anything bad to say about the companies I work for, but it was also a lot of angry customers and putting out fires and dealing with like difficult insurance companies and lots of bureaucracy. And then weddings, I get to go and I get to meet couples who are in, up to this point, it's the happiest time of their lives. Not that there won't be happier times after when you like raise a family and things, but like for most people, when they're engaged, that's the happiest they've ever been up to that point, and it's just so cool to get to know them and to be with them on, the biggest day of their life. And also marriage is just really important to me. I think it's important for our society. I think, marriage and family is the foundation of everything. And so it's cool to be a part of that day and make it a great experience for the couple. So not everybody has a great experience on their wedding day.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
A lot of the time we talk about our wedding. I think total, my parents gave me $1,000 and I put another couple grand into it, and that was our total budget.
Right.
We spent about $3,000 on our wedding, and now, I mean, we charge more than that for our services.
Right.
And I regret everything except for where we got married and marrying John.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot we would have done different.
But also because we were babies, we didn't have the finances to put, I mean, we probably could have saved more and been better with our money to invest in that. But I don't think we had the, the perspective that we have now.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that anyone should put themselves in a financial bind or put themselves in a place that they're going to be paying off their wedding for the next 20 years. I don't think that's smart, but I also think that there's nothing wrong in investing in your wedding.
Right.
I don't think it should be a status thing, but I think it should be something that brings you joy and you have fun and you have something that you can look back on and see this, almost fairy tale moment.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You want to look back, you want to have those memories come back and have it like be a strength for your marriage, be a strength for your partner, not something that you just kind of regret. Well, like not that you regret your marriage, but
so I've told this to a few people.
Yeah.
So in my family, where what I come from is a wedding is just something to get through. It is just something, and I love my family. I'm very close with my family. But it's something that they just kind of are like, all right, well, we got to get this done. And it's just full of checklists. There's not a lot of emotion put into it. There's not a lot of thought. It's like very do it for as cheap as possible. Do it for as little time as possible. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, the goal is to get this marriage certificate, kind of just to get the thing done.
My dad offered us more money to elope and just not have a wedding than what he contributed to our wedding.
Which was, looking back, that might have been better than what we did for our wedding, but it just, with family and things, there are other parts of our family that really did not want us to elope, and it just
which is now looking back, I wish that we had done what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because that was there wasn't I knew that I would never, because of how young I was and my family's outlook on weddings, I knew that I was never going to have the wedding that I wanted, or would have wanted. But we talked about eloping.
Yeah.
That was definitely a thought for us, was just to go get married. And we did talk about it, but because of family dynamics and things, and because we cared about other people's input, we didn't do what we probably wanted to do. Yeah.
And I think we can kind of segue into there's all these misconceptions around weddings. And we now with this perspective, we really believe it should just be what the couple wants. And if people in your family don't want to support what you want,
whether it's having a big wedding, I mean,
it's kind of their problem.
Yeah, or family, even down to family pictures, because that's something that we're really passionate about. So I come from a family, I have 63 first cousins, and not all of them were at my wedding. But a big chunk of my aunts and uncles and my cousins came. And we never look at those photos. I look at the ones of my family, my siblings, the ones with your family, the ones with my grandparents. Those are the ones that I look at. We never use the ones of our extended family. And so, although we're totally open to doing it, we've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, if the couple wants it, we'll do it.
Yeah, but it's if the couple wants it, not if your aunt wants it, not if your mom wants it, not, whoever. it's your decision who you want in your photos. And there's also like a really great, we tell couples this all the time, there's a really great alternative to having that like really like formal, gigantic family photo. And that's just like taking photos out on the dance floor. We call them grip and grins, where you literally are like,
you know,
and honestly, those, when we look through like what's downloaded on the galleries and pictures couples share, those are the ones that they're going to use, not those awkward stiff family photos.
Yeah, well,
and not that
even you think about like family photos, formal family photos, you might hang those up on a wall or something.
Yes, but of your immediate family.
Yeah, exactly, of immediate family. Like it might be your mom and dad or siblings, not every cousin, every aunt and uncle, you know, just everybody who was there, you know. I mean, if you want the photo, that's fine, we'll make it happen, but...
Right. Yep. It has to be their decision, the couple's decision. And that's a huge thing that we see time and time again, is that couples let other people influence their dress choice, their venue choice, their, every choice, you know, that any choice that you can make on the wedding day, that they let other people influence, and it's always a point of stress. You can tell the things that couples were not...
was not their idea or not what they wanted.
Yes, that it was somebody else's choice. And it always, like, we now can tell which ones, for sure, that is... So we think that it needs to be the couple's choice 100%. That's part of our contract that we've learned over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, we have our contract is with the bride and groom specifically, whether they're paying for it or not.
Yep.
It could be mom, could be dad paying for it, could be an uncle. It doesn't matter. Our contract is with the bride and groom. And the reason being, like you said, like we're in contact with them, we're working with them, we do our best to do what they want, and there's just no way to please everybody. We can only please the people that are our clients, and that's the bride and groom. And so like mom's gonna have her say, whatever, but
and it's not to say that you need to disregard the things that your family and friends want and be, you know, rude to them, which we'll also talk about that. We don't get bridezillas. So it's not to say that you just completely disregard them. It's more to say that you honor yourself and what's true to you.
Yeah.
In a kind and loving way. But like going back to it, we don't get bridezillas. People always ask us for our wedding horror stories.
Yeah, we don't have many of them.
I mean,
if we do have horror stories, it's never been because of the couple. It's been because of some other family member.
And I mean, and we don't mesh well with them. And that's one thing that we also really, really like stress to our couples. And when we have consultations, and this is what we want to tell every bride, scream it from the rooftop, only hire vendors that you feel good about, that you feel like you have a good rapport. And even if you might have a good feeling, make sure you check them out, because you want to make sure that they are established business. They're not going to flake on you. Last year was the year of us last minute booking because people hired cheaper photographers who end up ghosting them. They'll take a deposit and ghost them. Where we would never do that because we're an established business with a good reputation. And if we were to ever do that, that would be huge, like, terrible thing on our business, that we want to keep doing this for as long as our bodies will allow us to. Like, I want to be 65 and be shooting weddings. I have genetics. My grandparents are old. They're in their 80s, and my grandpa was just digging a ditch this week. So I will shoot this. If I can, I will be shooting weddings until I'm 85.
Yeah, so we definitely would never do anything to like tarnish our business. Yeah, we did. So, we did get quite a few people. Like maybe I think we had one that was like a month before. They're like, "Do you have our date open?" Like I think that one might have been for videography. Like our videography, like flaked on us, like they can't do it. And that's one thing, like we have all of our couples like sign a contract with us, but the contract also protects the couple, because in our contract, like we say what we're going to provide. If for some reason we're not able to be there on the day, it's nothing the couple did, but it's something on our end where we're not able to be there. We
have backup.
We will get backup. We'll hire somebody to come.
And somebody that we trust. And we would be willing to put our name next to. We have good relationships with a lot of the photographers in the area. And not only the area, but like we have good networks through education that we've done throughout the country and even the world, that we could say, hey, we are in this spot. Like when I was super pregnant, in my last trimester, we were going back to me being pregnant and kind of our origin story. We had people on standby in case I went into labor, in case there was an emergency. We knew that there was people that we could call and they would have been there. And that's like the perk of hiring an actual professional versus a family friend with a good camera. Not only do we have experience on the wedding day, but we have experience, we have that guarantee. We have contracts to protect you and to protect us. And also we want to jive well with our couples. Yeah,
that's another. We always meet with, if we can meet with a couple in person before they book us, we'll do that. But we shoot weddings all over the country, so like we can't always meet in person. So we'll do a Zoom call. And we want to make sure that we feel like it's a good fit, but that the couple feels like it's a good fit too. And if they don't, like, that's okay. Like, we don't want to be there on a wedding day around somebody like that we don't jive with either. So like it's okay if they choose not to book with us, but yeah, that's just part of the process.
We're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. And we have, again, going back to, we have a good network. So if there was somebody who was like, your style's not necessarily working out or something like that, then we have a good list of people that we can pull from. And I think that's another thing that sets apart a professional from like beginner, because I can look back and I would have been so threatened by that. I would have done something to try and hold on to that client no matter what, whether that was changing my style, working for less than what I was worth. That now I can be like, that's okay. And I'm all right with that.
Yeah, that's another thing, because we have been asked in the past, like, we'll do a consultation, and we've been asked, can you shoot things in like a more dark and moody style, which is literally like the opposite of what we do. Our work is very light, airy, joyful. And so, not that like when push comes to shove, we couldn't shoot something or edit something in that style, but it's not going to be what we're the best at. It's not going to be our best work.
Right.
Whereas somebody who that's their style, that's what they do, those photos are probably, those dark and moody photos will look better than our dark and moody photos. Right?
Yep.
And that's
so when you're looking for a photographer, even if it's like a recommendation from somebody, make sure that what their style is fits with your vision for your wedding. And make sure you know what you're getting into as far as that. Yeah, for sure. And it, like, if you go see it, it's pretty simple. I mean, you go look on their work, look on their Instagram, look on their website. If the photos that are there, if that's how you envision you want your photos to look, then go for it. If there's anything you're like, well, I wish it was this or this, then maybe that photographer is just probably not for you, the best one for you. And that's fine. That's another thing too. And nobody will offend us if they, decide to go with somebody else, or they feel like we're not a good fit. And another thing, like that is so true. Is that you need to be respectful to those vendors that you do reach out for. So if you do meet with them and you have a consultation or a call, it's okay to tell them that you went with a different direction. We would much rather get an email saying we're going a different way than just never hearing back from a couple.
Yeah, one of the worst things that happens is when you just get ghosted.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, I mean, it happens more than we would like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would rather people just be upfront with us, whether it's sorry you're not in our budget, or sorry we liked a photographer's style better, whatever it is. It just saves everybody a lot of time, and you don't need to worry about.
So we don't have to keep bugging. You don't have to get emails of us following up. We don't have to take the time to follow up. It's just, it's a lot just more. It's a respect thing.
Because we do try to follow up, because sometimes people get busy. Mm-hmm. They forget, they're dealing with some other part of wedding planning.
Or just life.
Or just life in general. And so we'll, gently say, hey, like, how's it going? We just wanted to, check in with you. Like, we just like to hear back, whether it's a go or not. Mm-hmm. And either way is fine. There's plenty of weddings out there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of couples for us to work with, so it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although it did used to feel that way sometimes.
And that's something that I feel like as we've hit like the actual like professional level, that has changed within us.
Yeah, for sure.
That we're gonna do this. So come along with us. We're not gonna ask you to do this for us. We're gonna do this with who's there with us. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think so. Like, we just, we're going to keep shooting weddings. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what we love doing, so we're going to keep going. Mm-hmm. And, we just want to find couples that we feel like we can give a great experience to.
And I think one of the biggest ways that we can give the best photography experience to a couple is if they have a wedding planner or at minimum a day of coordinator.
Yeah. Because you were talking about the one wedding you did for like 750 years ago. Like, you showed up and you didn't understand that there needed to be like a timeline. Yeah.
Like I think the day went fairly fairly well, like as far as like getting ready, going to the church, taking family photos right after the ceremony, going and doing the cake cutting. But I was just assuming that they had time for portraits. And I also was not experienced enough to be like, okay, I have 15 minutes. I can pack in 100 unique images for you in this 15 minutes, right?
Right.
So like for me to shoot for 15 minutes, I think I gave them like 5 portraits. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But with that, like now, I do know that.
Now 15 minutes a lot of times is pretty normal for us to only have that. Maybe that's broken up to 15-minute increments most of the time. But 15 minutes is pretty normal for us to just go do bridal portraits. Right. Get them done as quick as we can.
Yep.
We don't want to take a ton of time away from your guests, away from other events at the wedding day. Yeah, the day portraits are so important because they're beautiful artwork of you and the person you love the most, and they can really evoke a lot of feeling. But your wedding day should never, ever, ever feel like a photo shoot. And if you have a photographer that's inexperienced like I was 10 years ago, either the photographer is going to be annoyed that they don't have enough time to work with you, or you're going to miss eating dinner. Our couples, unless they purposely skip dinner and just go talk to guests, our couples always get to sit down and eat dinner. Yeah. We pride ourselves on never being late because of photography. Right. If things are late, if hair and makeup goes late, there's other mishaps because things happen on a wedding day. We will adjust. Mm-hmm. We will make it work. We will rearrange things. Sometimes we split up if we need to, we'll do different sets of family or different sets of bridal party at the same time. We'll do whatever we need to make up for any lost time.
Yeah, but one of the things that helps us with that is if we have a planner or a coordinator there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if not, we become the de facto planner and coordinator. And so we're running around putting fires out, whether that's, helping decorate.
Just making sure people are where they're supposed to be. Making sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Or wrangling family.
Making rain plans. Just like so many things that because we're doing that, you're missing out on, those candids of grandpa talking to or great grandpa talking to his great granddaughter, who's your first niece. Things like that. Like, we're missing those moments that are super special, important moments because we're putting fires out. And so we are huge advocates for planners and coordinators. We prefer, I don't even know if we prefer planners. There's pros and cons to having both. And I think full planners know the whole scope of the wedding because they've been there with you, from the get-go. Where day of coordinators are so good at thinking on their feet. And then there's those who do both.
I think ideally you would have somebody, like a planner that's with you through the process and can be there on the actual wedding day. They already know all the vendors.
Right. They've been working with them. They make a huge difference so that we can focus on what you paid us to do and not doing another job. So you get the full scope of the day versus us putting out fires. Not that we can't.
To be clear, like we'll do whatever it takes to make sure the couple gets what they want and has a good wedding day. But, sometimes...
We're a team player, and even sometimes when we've worked with planners, there's been emergencies that we've had to work on together.
Yeah.
Like, there's things that we have to overcome and problem solve together. But also, a huge thing is, so we tell people, we think you should have a planner or day of coordinator. You seem super stressed. This is overwhelming you. You should hire somebody, right?
Yeah.
And then they ask a family friend or somebody who might be kind of really A-type, who might be really organized in their life or in their job, but they don't know weddings.
Right.
And we've had a few times of that where it encroaches. They don't understand they want the day to go according to their plan, and they do not respect our photography timeline. We're a real professional planner or coordinator. We work with them as a team to create the full day timeline, because not every photographer is going to have the same, we do family photos as long as we're doing immediate family photos, 15 minutes. Some photographers it takes maybe an hour. Or portraits, like we said, sometimes all we get is 15, 20 minutes and we can pack that in. There's photographers who will go
for a couple
hours. And not that there's anything wrong with that. They just have a different process than us and a different philosophy than us. But as a planner or friends and family, they don't understand that. And the wedding world is so much different than what you see in movies, like how wedding days go in movies.
Or TV.
It's nothing like that. And so if they don't have experience in the actual wedding industry, we still end up being the de facto planner and fire putter outer, and it didn't do anything to make sure that you had that on your day.
End up kind of gently telling that person kind of what to do. And
we're always respectful to that person, and we'll always try and be a team player, but it does give us more work, so then you are getting less, maybe not less images, but probably less quality.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about working with a planner has nothing to do with us or making our lives easier. It's just
making the couple's
lives easier. Like the weddings where that have been well planned and well executed, there's so much less stress for the bride, for the groom, for the parents.
Right.
A lot of times a lot of the planning and design stuff is up to a mom or an aunt or a sister.
Yep.
And then those people, they're busy running around with their heads cut off, and they're not there just focused on you and supporting you.
Going back to my family and their dislike for weddings, I think that's why they hate it, is because they've never experienced. Yeah, they've never experienced a wedding where they get to just show up and enjoy the entire day. They've been to weddings of friends and family that are well planned and executed where they didn't have to work, but nothing for their family. Mm-hmm. My family, my entire huge, gigantic family, that's not common in my family, that it's always on the mom. And the mom is always stressed out, and she does not get those special moments with her daughter to be calm, and, just truly enjoy how beautiful her daughter looks, or the love that they have, their daughter and their child their daughter and their future son-in-law have for each other. And it's a really hard thing for me, that my mom, who is my best friend, never got that with my sister or I. Yeah. Or my brothers. Nobody's wedding. Nobody's wedding felt like that. Maybe my oldest brother's. His was the closest to having that. Yeah, his was pretty well.
And maybe that was just because
it was
his wife's family was doing most of the work.
But I don't know. But if you have those professionals, then your family gets to relax. We had a bride. She was a 2020 bride. Absolutely adore her. She told me towards the end of the night, she said, if I would have known how much stress it would have caused me to have a DIY wedding, I would have never done this much. I would have invested so much more into my wedding, because it was not worth the emotional cost. Mm-hmm. Of DIYing. It was not worth it. And that broke my heart, because yes, her wedding was beautiful. We had so much fun. The light was some of the most beautiful light. She has some of the most beautiful portraits. It was such a beautiful wedding.
The property was beautiful.
But she was stressed all day. Yeah. And it was really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's when we try our best to make the couple happy and have a good time and get good portraits of them showing their love and showing how happy they were, but it's harder to get that if it's just
if you're stressed out
day. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you have somebody that is able to go put those fires out for you, then you get to have all that joy and just be able to relax and truly be in the moment with your friends and family.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing about just doing what you want, because we get it. People have budgets, not everybody can afford the wedding of their dreams, but it's really important to prioritize and on a scale that's feasible for you have everything that you want.
Right. One of the best, there's two examples that I want to talk about of weddings that we've shot. One of my biggest wedding icks and pet peeves, and let me preface this by saying our reception was in a church gym that had green carpet and green, corkboard walls. It was with basketball hoops. It was nothing beautiful. And so, me saying this, there are beautiful weddings that have this, but they do distract. One of my biggest wedding icks, do you know what it is?
Plastic chairs.
White plastic chairs. Yeah. The ones that are it's plastic, metal, super thin rod, plastic, super thin metal rods. I've seen grandmas fall over and get hurt on those. So not only
they're not sturdy.
They're not
they're
sturdy.
Not necessarily safe for everybody.
Right. And they do not look good. So this one bride, she was a 19-year-old bride like I was. But I was so impressed with this. She was working with a minimal budget, but she prioritized things. She said, I do not want ugly plastic white chairs. And so a big chunk of her budget went to not only just nice upgraded chairs, but beautiful. They are the, I don't remember what they're called, but it's the, it looks like bamboo sticks.
Oh.
Like that are gold. And she had very simple table decor. We can even like pop up a photo of this and I can show what I'm talking about. We can even put a photo side by side of the difference that it looks. And oh my gosh, did it elevate her wedding.
Right.
She didn't have a huge budget floral or
a budget for florals.
Yes. I can't talk, you guys. It's a thing. My brain works faster than my mouth can talk. But she didn't have a huge floral budget. So her wedding was very all white, traditional. She was stunning. Like her whole wedding party wore white and it just made me so happy. But she got flowers from Sam's Club that was a very tight, very classic bouquet, which is not super in right now and not a lot of florists left it, but it looked good with her whole setup.
Right.
So she invested in her dress and in her chairs and in us. And her photos are stunning.
Well, and the thing about that is, like, even though she didn't have a big budget for, like, decor and florals, like, nothing that she used looked DIY or looked tacky.
It didn't distract from the upgrades that she chose.
Right.
Because she was very intentional with her priorities. And so she didn't ever try to have, like, add things because that's what somebody, like, she was supposed to have it. That made it tacky. Like, she just worked within what she had, and because she didn't try and do too much with her little budget, it was very elegant.
Yeah. And we've had other weddings, like the wedding at the Lodge in Nye, where it was a very small, intimate wedding.
Yeah, including us, there was 15 people.
Yeah. And they just had one table that everybody sat at for the dinner, but the tablescape was gorgeous.
Stunning. We can pop that up.
Yeah, it looked amazing. It was beautiful, and it was just that because the scale was within what they were able to do and still have a beautiful wedding, rather than inviting 150 guests and having 20 or 30 tables to decorate. But they did it in a way that they could have this beautiful wedding, this beautiful special day, and it was doable for them.
Exactly. And I think that making those priorities, so whether it's simplifying decor and things like that, like, so that you can have a large wedding, and just investing in the areas that you are most important to you, or scaling back so that you can have those higher end finishes, instead of spending a lot of money on a bunch of guests and a bunch of chairs. You just spend a smaller amount because you make it smaller.
Yeah. Well, and one thing when we released our episode with one of a planner, Katie, like, she talked about when you involve a planner, it doesn't. Yeah, she'll be on soon, but it doesn't have to be a huge wedding, a 200 plus guest wedding for you to involve a planner. It can be a very intimate thing, and they can help you source things so that it is within your budget and you get those things exactly like you want. So most planners that we talk to and we have a relationship with offer different levels of planning. So whether it's even just like helping you get an idea, a budget consultation, to see, like, because a budget's like a pie. So are you gonna use like 75 of the pie on your dress? Like, what are you gonna take from your budget? Or is it gonna be so they'll do budget consultations. They'll do, maybe just source everything for you. You give them inspiration and they'll help you create a vision, and then you can finish executing it yourself. Or they can, there's just different levels for most planners that we know. And so even if you decide to have a micro wedding like the one that we did in Nye, which is one of our all-time favorite weddings. It was so beautiful. I share it
half my feed is that on Instagram right now. So if you want to be nosy, you can go check. But it's all about, those priorities and yeah.
Yeah. And we're excited we're going to have a lot of different vendors coming on to talk more about different misconceptions in the wedding industry or just things that they wish their couples knew.
Yeah.
We're for sure going to have planner. That'll probably be the next episode is with planner. We're going to have hair and makeup artists.
Florists.
What else? We're going to have like a stationery designer.
Yeah.
Which is actually
phenomenal.
really cool, and her work is gorgeous.
Yep.
So yeah, there's going to be tons of different facets of wedding world, which is pretty big world.
Yes. There's, everything down to, there's florists and even little things that you don't think about. Maybe even like we might be looking for a marriage counselor that wants to come on here and talk about weddings. Because there's so much that goes into it, even past the day. So we're really excited.
Yeah, this is a fun new adventure for us. And I hope, like, if you're listening right now, share this with anyone who's engaged or maybe wants to be engaged or is near that.
Or just loves weddings like I do, because I listen to stuff like this. Again, my algorithm thinks I'm planning a wedding, so...
Yeah, so follow us for tons of more content that'll be coming out that can help you with everything when it comes to planning your wedding. And
let us hear if there's anything that you want to know about. So, like, drop that down in the comments. Let us know if there's anything that you want to hear more about. Like, that if you're struggling on something of planning your wedding, let us know, because we are here to help, and we will take requests 100%. Or if you want to be on here, reach out. Yeah,
any vendors that want to reach out, we want to have really the best of the best vendors on here. So we're only going to take on either people that we know and have worked with, or have a good reputation in the industry. But if that sounds like you, and you do have that good reputation, we'd love to talk.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for listening.